Greg Hunter, Blue and Gold News. So, just talk about the move here. You were in a nice program. Why'd you decide that this was better for you?
Well, again, very appreciative of my time at Illinois. Obviously, my alma mater. We had a great run, 2 championships in 3 years, and an Elite Eight run. I was looking for something to help me grow. Not to say that I didn't grow there, but have an opportunity to work with Coach DeVries, who I regard as a really good basketball coach, a good offensive mind. We're a little more aligned offensively and defensively, and it's closer to home for me. More in my wheelhouse of my recruiting base and where I can get more things done from a recruiting standpoint. So it made a lot of sense when the job came open to make the move.
Did you have any kind of relationship with Coach DeVries? Did you know each other much or at all?
No, just been a fan. I always I've been fortunate to win in a lot of places, and the one place that I again started off at Kansas State. We won a lot of games there. Went to Virginia Tech. We built it. The year I left, we were a top 25 team most of the year, and then having the opportunity to go to Illinois, another winning program, coming off a 1C year. So I've been blessed, and just doing my research on Coach DeVries, knowing he's a winner, does things the right way, and I heard nothing but glowing remarks from my peers on his coaching style. So it drew me here.
Sports.com. You mentioned recruiting. What's the reception been like since you've been here? I know you obviously ties close over to DC and all that area.
It's been good, man. It's been good. I think just having that brand, that WV brand, we're gonna have to. Obviously there's a lot more in the recruiting than what people think it is now. It's more than just relationships, and it's become a lot about business and NIL. So when those two meet, you'll see the recruiting take a big uptick. But we're in a good spot. We're in a good spot recruiting. We're on some really good prospects. So just trying to establish a recruiting base, and then all around the country just find good fits that fit us.
Coach Justin Jackson with the Dominion Post. Obviously being in Illinois last year, being with Amani and Sincere, bringing them here. Can you just kind of talk about what was the kind of selling process like, getting them to come from Illinois to here, and obviously there's a great relationship you built with them there, and just what was that whole process like?
Yeah, and again, that's you hit on it. Relationship. Those are guys that Sincere recruited for a while, and he had a chance to coach for a couple years. Amani, we had been recruiting since his sophomore year, and he came to Illinois and played for us there. So just more comfortability in a relationship piece. Once I made the move, they felt more comfortable being here than anywhere else.
Did they do research on West Virginia on their own? I mean, what was that?
I mean, again, I think it was more a relationship piece. And then, obviously their parents, trusting me and trusting Coach DeVries, it made the process go a little easier. Yeah. No doubt. It was a fairly quick and easy process.
Take me back to your high school days. Did West Virginia recruit you at all?
I don't think so. I'm from Baltimore. How many Baltimore guys have we ever signed here? I know Dax, Fess, what's his name? I think he got kicked out of here for Beeline. What's his name? He's a Baltimore kid. About 5'10". He played 3 years here. No, Baltimore guy. He got released. He was with Beeline. That's your homework for today. I forget his name. Dang, what's his name? He played in Baltimore. I know he was a quick little guard. Scored about 11 points his junior year. But he there you go. But those are the only two that I can think of. Oh, Diego Jones, Cyrus Jones. So it's been probably three guys from Baltimore that I can remember. But that area of the country is going to be important for us. We can get in the car and drive it, get there. So we got to plant a flag there in the DMV. Also, Ohio has been good to this place. So you want to do some work there. Pennsylvania. I think you can recruit anywhere here, as long as there's an opportunity. And like I said, NIL is a major factor in recruiting now. So we'll be strong there as well.
Coached in places that you would have faced West Virginia. So what were your thoughts when you were on the other bench?
Ironically, I was at Kansas State for 7 years. My first time seeing the musket go off, I jumped, kind of hid a little bit. But no, it's a great place. It's a hard place to play if you're an opponent. It's a great place for a home court advantage. Fans are always loud and they show up. That's the one thing I can remember now. We had some success here when I was at Kansas State. I think my last year here, we beat West Virginia in Morgantown. The team we had Barry Brown, Kamal Stokes, Dean Wade. I think we swept them that year. Actually, they had us down 20 at our place, and we came back and beat them. So always remember those wars, those fights with WV. But, again, the home court atmosphere, big time. My first year coaching at Kansas State, we stole one. I think that was Gary Brown, drove the ball. Shane Southwell blocked it to win the game. So I remember vividly all the battles we had here.
Those scoring games, physical.
57, 58, I believe. But there was a game, Jawan State, and you can fact check me on this. I think he had 38 against us in here probably the next year or the year after. So, yeah, always a physical battle. And then when Press Virginia hit, I just remember, man, this is taxing. Like, these guys getting on the plane, you got to take that hour drive, then fly home. It was a tough flight.
What's this team like? You said you feel like you fit with the style that Coach DeVries coaches. So what does that entail?
Well, I think, offensively you're going to see great ball movement, good set plays, set actions, screening, selfless basketball. Obviously we're going to want to get out and play in the open court, play fast, put it up from three, and then when we have to slow it down, we can execute in the half court. Defensively, we'll be tough, stingy, physical, brand of defense, connected. This team, we're still finding our identity, but I think we're closer to it than we even realize. They're competing at a higher level than when we got here in the summer, and that's been refreshing to watch. Some roles are starting to be established, so that's also refreshing. I think the connectivity has been the biggest piece. They're getting along, they love each other, and they're playing hard. And that's the only thing you can ask as a new group with so many new guys, that they're connected and they're playing hard. We'll figure the rest out.
Another one with Sincere and Amani. How are they fitting in? Now that they're here and practicing and finding roles.
Yeah, I think they're both doing well. They're two of our better players. I think Amani gives us such versatility, especially at that 5 spot, because of his ability to step out and shoot. He can pass. He can handle the basketball. Has such a great feel for finding the next play as a connector of offense. And then Sincere, he's sincere. He's going to guard. He's going to probably guard the best player most nights, him or Toby. On the perimeter, he can really sit down and guard the basketball. In the open court, he's really dynamic. He can get to the basket and finish, and his jump shot's much improved.
Any other questions for Coach? Blue and Gold News. Coach, you mentioned personal growth, learning new things. Was that part of your look here? Because Coach DeVries' offense is a little bit different than what a lot of people run. And have you ever run or coached in something like that before?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with Coach Young down at Virginia Tech. And I think they are very similar in their approaches to basketball. And again, many people don't notice, I almost turned Illinois down to stay at Virginia Tech. I love the way we played. I love the brand of basketball we played. I love Coach Young. But the chance to coach my alma mater was very tempting at the time. And, I think Coach DeVries and Coach Young are very similar in their approach to basketball. And it's a brand that I enjoy. And, again, not that I didn't enjoy anything about Illinois. Let's get that right out there right now. We won. We had success. I think Brad Underwood is a terrific basketball coach. It just needed something that I thought fit me a little bit more. And again, as I continued my journey to be a head coach, I wanted to learn something different. And, that I think I have a great opportunity here to be in my roots, be on the East Coast, a little close to the East Coast, and coach with a great guy that I think is a phenomenal basketball coach.
You wanted to coach. Were you in college, high school? When did that start?
I always knew I'd be a basketball coach. I didn't know when it would be. It happened for me a little earlier than I probably expected. I played overseas for 2 seasons. In between it, I got hurt. I did a video coordinator year at Illinois /GA. Went back overseas, and then the next year I was coaching at Kansas State. I was 25 years old as an assistant. So got through right in the fire. Didn't have much experience. I learned how to hunt. I learned how to hunt. I had all the hardest scouts my first year in coaching. Florida, Michigan, you name it. So for me, it was a welcome to the Big 12, but it was fun. I had fun doing it, and now as a guy 25, now you're looking back, and now you're 38. Been doing this a long time. It's just experience and just seeing a lot of plays, seeing a lot of people in recruiting and building those networks. It's valuable.
How have you grown as a recruiter over the years? I know it's a thankless job sometimes.
Well, the biggest piece for me is I've always been a relationship guy. That's probably the biggest part I struggle with the transfer portal is it's kind of flash dating, if you want to say it in that way. It's maybe you recruit a guy for a week, 2 weeks, you don't know him, he really doesn't know you per se. Like I told you, the guys that came over with me, there were guys that I recruited for a long time. Guys that I've recruited, like for example, Jay Nepps, when I got him at Illinois, recruited him since 8th grade. And I'm a big relationship guy. I'm a believer in it. But now it's a little different. We're in a different world now, and I'm still adjusting to it. It's more business than anything as far as the NIL piece. But I think I've grown. Just my network's a little larger. You just get to know people as you go through the business. And at K-State, I had to go find players. It wasn't easy place to recruit to. Sign guys out of Florida, Baltimore, South Carolina. I mean, all over the place. Salt Lake City, Utah. We were able to just find, tough, competitive kids that fit us, and you can do the same thing here.
So you know all the airports, I imagine?
All of
right?
them, all of them, all the highways, airports. I mean, the good thing about here, I can get in the car and drive and recruit. When I was in Manhattan, I probably never got in the car to go recruiting unless I was going to like Sunrise. So it's now I can go to D.C., Baltimore in 3 hours. I can go to Cleveland. I can get some different places from here. Huntington Prep. You can get in the car and drive to recruit.
You mentioned some of those adjustments you've had to make with recruiting. What are some of those?
Well, I think for us as coaches, it's no secret NIL is here, and you have to find value for what your team needs. There's some guys that the price tag is too high for what your team's value is, and you may like a player, but he may be too expensive. So you got to navigate that world accordingly to what your team needs are and what your budget is. So it becomes tricky in that regard because you're trying to put a roster together and essentially a new roster together most years. Retention is obviously key, but I think for us when we got here in April, I think Ofri Neve was the only returner. So you had to put a whole new roster together in basically a month and a half. That's tricky. And then you're saying, okay, you may have a list of centers, power forwards, small forwards, and okay, can we afford this guy? No, move on to the next one. And that's kind of the world we're in now. It's more, thankfully we have a general manager, Nelson Hernandez, that can handle a lot of that.
In terms of travel, I'm sure there's favorite places and places you try to avoid, like Newark Airport. No one wants to go fly. No one wants to lay over in Newark. But I mean, for you, the life on the road, are there places like that?
You know what? Again, you get smart and you get intel. The biggest thing I try not to do is waste time in recruiting. When you kind of feel like you have a hook or relationship, you go after a kid. If you don't have a relationship or a hook, it's virtually impossible these days, especially, recruiting out of your area. If you're trying to jump over, let's say, for example, if I'm recruiting a DMV and Maryland has a better relationship with a kid than I have, then I'm not going to exhaust all my resources into that kid. I'll move on to the next kid. And I think that's the smart part of the business is now it's not wasting time, wasting money on, flights and hotels when you don't have to.
Chester, I'm Mike. I work for 24/7. On the recruiting stuff, the geography is logical. I get that. You can easily start and build relationships. When you're going to like Los Angeles or some faraway place that isn't near your campus, that might not make sense to that kid. Like, what's Illinois doing here? What's West Virginia here, right? How do you walk in? I guess, why do you walk in? How do you walk in? And then how do you make sure that you actually can come back a second time? You can have a second conversation.
Yeah, and I think again, we play in a great basketball league, and it is a coast to coast league now. You got to think we have West Coast teams in our league. There are kids from different regions that we are able to recruit due to relationships, obviously. Now, when the visit takes place, they got to understand that this is not LA. This is not, you're not going to get that feel here. But I think a lot of kids will come to a place like West Virginia because of the opportunity. You know, if there's an opportunity to play. Now, again, they're not jumping over USC or UCLA if they're going to come sit on the bench. Why would you do that? You know, I think that if there's an opportunity, most kids will go where the opportunity is, and obviously now NIL.
Coach, thank you.
Appreciate you guys.